There's a quiet power that comes when you finally stop caring, not because you've become cold, but because you've become clear. You stop fighting battles that don't matter, chasing people who don't see you, and trying to control things that were never yours to control. That moment when you release the need to please, explain, or prove is the moment you begin to live freely. Most people think caring less means giving up. It doesn't. It means you've stopped attaching your peace to chaos. It means you've stopped bleeding energy into things that don't feed your purpose. When you stop caring about opinions, manipulation, and outcomes, your mind quiets, your vision sharpens. You start moving differently, not out of emotion, but out of alignment. Because detachment isn't apathy, it's mastery. It's the mark of someone who's seen through the noise and chosen peace over performance. In this video, we'll uncover 5 powerful things that happen when you stop caring. The unseen transformations that occur when you finally take your power back. Subscribe to Motivation Guru. Join the Guru Clan, a brotherhood of awakened minds mastering peace, purpose, and presence. 1. You stop chasing people who don't value you. The moment you stop caring about being liked, you start to see who truly values you and who only tolerated you because of what you gave them. This is one of the first and most powerful shifts that happens when you detach. Your circle begins to purify itself. People reveal their truth the instant your energy stops feeding them. When you care too much, you chase validation. You try to please, to explain, to prove your worth in hopes of being seen. But spiritual growth teaches you something radical. Real respect doesn't need to be earned through exhaustion. It's either there or it isn't. Detachment isn't rejection, it's self-respect. It's saying, I no longer need your approval to feel whole. And the second you reach that mindset, something incredible happens. Your silence starts to speak louder than your effort ever did. You'll notice people begin to fall away, not because you've changed, but because they no longer have access to your energy. The ones who only showed up when you were convenient disappear when you stop performing. That silence? It's not loss, it's clarity. True value doesn't chase. It attracts. The mature soul understands that love, friendship, and loyalty can't be forced. If it's real, it reciprocates. If it's not, it fades. When you stop running after people, you create space for those who are already walking toward you. There's a deep peace in realizing you don't have to convince anyone to stay. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start realizing maybe they were never meant to walk this far with me. That awareness shifts your vibration completely from desperation to sovereignty. You start valuing presence over promises. You stop mistaking attention for affection. You no longer measure love by intensity, but by consistency. You see who respects your absence as much as your presence. Because when you stop chasing, those who truly care will step forward. Those who never did will vanish. This stage of detachment can feel lonely at first. You'll grieve people you thought would last forever. But over time, that solitude turns into strength. You begin to enjoy your own company, realizing that peace is better than people who keep you guessing. You learn that losing fake love is not loss, it's alignment. The spiritually mature don't beg for closure. They become it. They don't chase conversations that don't flow or attention that needs to be earned. They walk with quiet confidence, knowing that what's meant for them will never need to be forced. And ironically, that's when everything begins to shift. The energy that once scattered itself trying to keep others happy now returns to you, stronger, clearer, sharper. You start radiating certainty instead of neediness, and that certainty becomes magnetic. People feel it. They sense the change. You're no longer seeking approval. You've become the kind of person who doesn't require it. When you stop chasing, you stop leading. You stop proving. You stop settling for half-hearted love. And that detachment doesn't make you colder. It makes you rarer. Because the truth is, you don't lose people when you stop caring. You lose illusions. And what remains is real. 2. Your energy returns to you. One of the greatest miracles that happens when you stop caring about everything is this. Your energy finally returns to you. For most of your life, you've been leaking it, worrying about other people's opinions, obsessing over outcomes, replaying old conversations, trying to fix what was never yours to fix. Every thought, every emotional overreaction, every attempt to control the uncontrollable, it all drained you quietly. But when you begin to detach, something incredible happens. You stop pouring your energy into noise, and it begins to flow back into your core. The fatigue fades, the fog clears. Your focus, creativity, and strength start to rise again, not because life got easier, but because you stopped fighting battles that weren't yours. Caring too much is a form of spiritual overextension. You give energy to everything, people's moods, opinions, reactions, and before long, you feel scattered and weak. You confuse empathy with obligation and compassion with responsibility. But maturity teaches you the difference. You learn that not everything deserves a reaction and not everyone deserves your attention. When you stop caring about controlling what's outside of you, you reclaim control of what's inside of you. Your thoughts become cleaner. Your emotions become balanced. Your intuition, once drowned by noise, starts to speak again. You begin to create, focus, and build with a sense of quiet precision. Your energy is your currency, and detachment is how you protect it. The moment you stop investing in chaos, you start compounding peace. You realize that your mind is not a trash can for the world's problems. You are not here to fix everyone. You are here to evolve. As you pull your energy back, your vibration rises. You stop seeking validation because your self-worth no longer depends on feedback. You stop fearing loss because you understand that what's meant for you will never need to be chased. You stop drowning in overthinking because you finally realize peace isn't found in control, it's found in clarity. When your energy returns, so does your power. You become magnetic again. Ideas flow, focus sharpens, and creativity blossoms. The energy that once went into anxiety now fuels transformation. You begin to build momentum. Your presence changes. People can feel it. They notice your calm, your confidence, your quiet authority. This is what real detachment looks like. It's not coldness, it's conservation. It's choosing to invest energy only where it multiplies your purpose, your growth, your peace. You'll find yourself becoming more selective with what you respond to. Drama won't tempt you. Arguments will bore you. Small talk will fade away, because once you've experienced the stillness that comes from holding your energy, chaos becomes unbearable. The truth is, the more you care about everything, the less power you have over anything. But the moment you stop caring about what doesn't matter, your energy realigns. You become focused, intentional, unstoppable. And here's the irony: when you stop trying so hard, things begin to fall into place. The energy that was once scattered, chasing approval, now flows naturally toward purpose. Opportunities find you. Peace follows you. Success grows quietly around you. Because life doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to direction. And when your energy is no longer leaking, your direction becomes undeniable. So yes, once you stop caring about everything, your energy returns. Not just your physical strength, but your spiritual power. You become whole again. And that's when the world effortlessly, naturally, inevitably begins to move in your favor. 3. You become immune to manipulation. The moment you stop needing validation, you become uncheckable. You can no longer be guilt-tripped, emotionally blackmailed, or controlled through fear of rejection, because nothing outside of you has power over you anymore. Manipulation thrives on emotional dependency. It feeds on your need to be accepted, your fear of disapproval, your longing to belong. As long as someone can make you feel small for saying no, or unworthy for setting boundaries, they can control you. But when you stop caring about pleasing everyone, the strings they once pulled snap, and you finally stand in your own power. The spiritually mature realize that validation is a silent leash. It keeps you performing for love instead of living in truth. It keeps you shrinking to fit in, apologizing for your strength, and tolerating disrespect just to avoid being alone. But once you detach, the illusion breaks. You understand that no one's approval is worth your peace. You start recognizing manipulation for what it is: weakness disguised as control. The guilt trips, the silent treatment, the emotional games, they stop affecting you because you no longer play in that arena. You've outgrown it. You see through it. You understand that emotional manipulation only works on those who need something from the manipulator. And you've learned to need less. When you stop caring about being liked, you stop performing for acceptance. You say no without over-explaining. You walk away without announcing it. You trust your intuition over someone's excuses. This calm confidence terrifies manipulators because they can't figure out how to move someone who no longer dances to their tune. They'll call you cold, selfish, or heartless, but that's just the voice of control losing its grip. You're not heartless, you're healed. You've stopped letting people weaponize your kindness. You've stopped confusing empathy with obedience. You've learned that compassion doesn't mean allowing yourself to be drained. When you detach from validation, you begin to master neutrality, the state of emotional balance where no external praise can inflate you, and no criticism can break you. You see compliments and insults for what they are, projections, not reflections. You stop depending on external voices to tell you who you are. This immunity doesn't make you arrogant, it makes you free. You're no longer tossed around by other people's moods, opinions, or approval. You stay centered, grounded, unbothered. You've reclaimed your emotional sovereignty. The manipulator's biggest weapon, guilt, loses all its edge when you no longer fear being misunderstood. You realize that sometimes people will twist your truth to protect their ego, and that's not your burden to fix. Their perception is not your responsibility. You become a mirror, calm, reflective, and impossible to distort. You respond with silence instead of defensiveness, clarity instead of chaos. your peace becomes your boundary. And in that silence, the manipulator reveals themselves. Their control collapses because it relies on reaction, and you no longer provide one. You've evolved from the need to prove your worth into the awareness that you already are enough. That shift, subtle but powerful, makes you untouchable. This is what true detachment feels like. Not apathy, not arrogance, but freedom, the kind that can't be bribed, bought, or broken. When you stop caring about who approves, you stop giving people permission to define you. You stop being a puppet. You become a presence. And presence, unlike performance, can't be manipulated. 4. You move with clarity, not emotion. When you finally detach from the need to control everything, people, outcomes, and opinions, something extraordinary happens. Your vision clears. The fog of emotion that once clouded your decisions begins to lift, and for the first time you start to see instead of just feel. Detachment doesn't make you numb, it makes you precise. You stop reacting to noise and start responding with purpose. You no longer allow passing emotions to dictate permanent decisions. Instead, you move from awareness, from grounded truth. When you lived through emotion alone, you made choices in survival mode, chasing approval, escaping discomfort, or trying to fix everything instantly. But spiritual maturity teaches you that not every emotion deserves a reaction. Feelings are real, but they are not facts. They pass like weather. Clarity comes when you learn to wait for the storm to settle before you act. The emotionally reactive are easily controlled by people, by media, by fear. But the clear-minded move like water, calm, deliberate, unstoppable. Detachment trains your focus. It sharpens your intuition. You no longer waste energy explaining, overthinking, or defending. You see the pattern beneath the chaos, and you act with quiet confidence. When you move with clarity, the difference shows. You speak less, but say more. You work smarter, not harder. You stop chasing attention and start commanding respect, not through noise, but through precision. You start noticing how others are pulled by emotion, reacting to gossip, provocation, or pressure while you remain still. You've learned that reacting is what they want you to do. Clarity, however, is rebellion. You no longer move because someone pushed. You move because you decided. This level of detachment gives you a kind of calm authority. You walk into rooms without forcing attention, yet everyone feels your presence. You act from alignment, not impulse. You're no longer driven by fear of missing out. You trust that what's meant for you will align naturally when you're ready. Clarity also changes how you handle conflict. You stop engaging with chaos, not out of weakness, but wisdom. You don't need to win every argument because truth doesn't require proof. You see manipulation instantly, and you respond with silence. You recognize projection immediately, and you no longer take it personally. And here's the paradox. When you stop reacting emotionally, people start accusing you of being detached or uncaring, but that's only because they can no longer control you. Your emotional neutrality threatens those who rely on drama to feel powerful, but you've learned that emotional balance isn't indifference. It's self-mastery. You also begin to see your own emotions differently. Instead of resisting them, you observe them. You don't ask, "Why do I feel this way?" You ask, "What is this feeling trying to teach me?" That's the shift from reaction to reflection, from chaos to clarity. In that space of calm observation, wisdom blooms. You begin to understand timing. When to act, when to speak, and when to let silence do the work. You stop rushing, you stop proving. You move with purpose, knowing that energy directed with clarity is far stronger than emotion scattered in confusion. Every great leader, thinker, or warrior learns this truth. Clarity wins wars that emotion starts. The clear mind sees through illusions. The detached heart moves in truth. When you move with clarity, you no longer chase control, you embody it. You don't force life to obey your will. You align with it. Your decisions stop coming from insecurity and start flowing from wisdom. That's why detachment is not the absence of feeling. It's the mastery of it. It's standing in the fire without burning, seeing the storm without drowning, and walking through the noise untouched. And once you reach that level, when your mind becomes still and your movements deliberate, you stop being reactive and start being inevitable. 5. Peace becomes your default state. The final transformation that happens when you stop caring is the most powerful one of all. Peace becomes your natural state, not a temporary feeling that comes and goes, but a constant presence that lives beneath everything. You no longer have to chase it, pray for it, or beg the world to give it to you. It's simply there, unshaken, unmoved, untouched. When you stop caring about outcomes, you break the invisible chains that tie your peace to circumstances. You stop saying, "I'll be calm when," and start saying, "I'm calm now." That shift changes everything. Because as long as your peace depends on control, it will always be fragile. But when it comes from surrender, it becomes indestructible. The spiritually mature understand that peace doesn't come from getting everything right. It comes from releasing the need to. You realize life is not meant to be controlled, but experienced. Things will come and go. People will stay and leave. Seasons will rise and fall. Yet through it all, your center remains still. When you no longer chase outcomes, your energy stops clinging to what could be and starts flowing with what is. Anxiety fades because resistance fades. The storms still come, but they no longer define you. You move through them like a mountain surrounded by wind, aware of the chaos, yet unmoved by it. Peace at this level is not silence or retreat. It's presence, the ability to stand in the middle of uncertainty and still feel anchored within yourself. It's knowing that everything meant for you will find you, and everything not meant for you will fall away. And both are equally divine. This kind of peace changes your entire vibration. You stop reacting to every shift in life's weather. The things that once triggered you barely reach you. The people who once disturbed you no longer have access to your energy. You stop explaining yourself because you've realized peace doesn't need an audience. It just needs boundaries. When peace becomes your default state, everything external begins to rearrange around it. Chaos avoids calm because it can't feed off it. Toxic people drift away because they can't manipulate it. And blessings begin to flow because they finally have space to land. You'll notice that your decisions get clearer. Your sleep gets deeper. Even your presence feels lighter. You stop overthinking because you trust the flow. You stop forcing connections because you trust timing. You stop fighting reality because you trust yourself. And perhaps most importantly, you realize that peace was never something you had to earn. It was what remained when you stopped trying to control what was never yours. The world will still test you. People will still project onto you. Circumstances will still change. But peace doesn't mean life stops being chaotic. It means you stop being chaotic within it. You no longer mistake stillness for stagnation. You understand that growth happens quietly, in peace, not in panic. You no longer equate movement with progress, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. Just breathe. Just trust. Just be. When peace becomes your default state, life itself becomes simpler. Not because it's easier, but because you no longer fight it. You've stopped needing constant proof that you're on the right path. You feel it. You know it. That's the gift of letting go. You lose control, but you gain clarity. You lose noise, but you gain harmony. You stop caring, but you start living. Because peace isn't the prize you win at the end of your battles. Peace is what you become when the battles no longer define you. When you finally stop caring about everything that doesn't deserve your energy, something inside you changes forever. You stop living like a hostage to other people's opinions, outcomes, or approval. You stop begging life to bend in your favor, and instead you begin to move in harmony with it. This is what true freedom looks like. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer force, you flow. You no longer react, you respond. You no longer seek peace, you are peace. Every part of your being becomes lighter because the weight of control finally lifts. You realize you were never meant to carry everything, only what's yours. You begin to trust timing, protect your energy, and move in silence. What once drained you now no longer reaches you. This isn't apathy, it's alignment. It's the moment you stop confusing chaos for passion and noise for meaning. You stop clinging to what falls apart and start walking toward what's real. And that's when everything starts working in your favor, not because you tried harder, but because you let go. That's the power of detachment. That's the peace of the awakened. Subscribe to Motivation Guru and join the Guru Clan, where we master calm in chaos, strength in silence, and freedom through awareness. Comment below. What's one thing you've stopped caring about that brought you unexpected peace?